It's December 19th, 1944. Ardennes Forest, Belgium. The road below still carries German movement. It has no right to a sniper from the 99th Infantry holds 40 feet above the ground. Frost lines the bark beneath his gloved hand. The rifle rests against the branch fork below him. Cold air burns against the skin around his eyes. 3 branches hold his weight above the drop. Figures move through fog along the narrow road. Dark uniforms pass between bare tree trunks below. One soldier lifts a cigarette toward his face. The flame flares orange through the gray mist. Vincent Romano steadies the rifle against the branch. The scope fills with the soldier at 800 yards.
800 yards.
His breath leaves a brief cloud against the lens edge. The crosshair settles at the center of the chest. The scope glass fogs for a half second against his eye. The trigger breaks clean under his finger. The rifle recoils against his shoulder bone. 1 second flight, the soldier drops sideways into the snow. The cigarette burns beside his hand. The others turn toward the hillside below. The survivors dive toward shallow cover beside the road. Snow kicks upward where rounds strike blindly uphill. Romano works the bolt without lifting his cheek. Brass ejects against the branch beside his shoulder. The second target moves behind a fallen log. The crosshair shifts ahead of his movement. The rifle fires again through the cold air. 800 yards. The body rolls backward into the ditch. 2 more soldiers break toward the bend ahead. Romano tracks the lead runner through the scope. The runner cuts toward the ditch line at the road edge. His boots kick up snow in short, uneven bursts. He does not look back toward the hillside. The sergeant watches the road through gaps in branches. The rifle fire echoes faint across the frozen ground. His breath holds steady against the cold air. Vincent remains still above the tree line behind them. The sergeant keeps his eyes on the road below. 20 men passed this morning before the first shot. He shifts his gaze toward the oak behind him. Smoke drifts faint from the rifle muzzle above. He does not move from his position.
Are you staying up there?
Vincent keeps the rifle pressed into the branch.
Road's not empty.
The next round slides into the chamber. The wooden platform measures 3 feet across beneath him. 3 feet, parachute cord tightens against the trunk behind his back. A stack of rounds sits within reach of his left hand. 20 ready. His fingers move slower against the cold metal casing. Footsteps sound faint through the frozen ground below. Another group enters the road from the north. 15 soldiers. They gather near the bodies lying in the snow. One kneels beside a fallen man near the ditch. Romano centers the crosshair on the kneeling figure. The rifle cracks through the still forest air. 700 yards. The body drops forward into the snow. The group spreads unevenly across the road surface. 2 remain close beside the fallen bodies. The bolt cycles again against his gloved hand. The next shot lands into the cluster of movement. Another soldier collapses beside the road edge. The survivors run toward the northern bend. The road bends north and the last runner disappears into the tree line, but the sound of their boots carries back through the valley for 30 more seconds. Romano holds the scope on the northern bend. The last figure disappears behind the tree line. The bolt sits open in his hand. He does not cycle it yet. 4 rounds gone from the stack beside his knee. The rifle rests across his forearms above the branch. His breath slows against the freezing air. 45 minutes between movements. He watches the road without shifting his shoulders. The fog lifts slightly above the tree line. Tracks mark repeated passage along the road surface. Motorcycle tires, boot prints, a supply route. His eyes follow the curve of the road northward. His hand settles back onto the bolt handle. A new group advances in wider spacing along the road. Weapons held forward. One points toward the hillside above the trees. Romano adjusts the scope toward the leading figure. Wind shifts lightly across the valley 3 miles per hour. The rifle fires through the thin morning air. The officer drops backward into the snow. The formation breaks apart across the road. Men move toward cover along the ditch line. Romano tracks the next target through the scope. The remaining soldiers press flat against the ditch bank. One raises his hand toward the hillside, points once. Romano shifts the crosshair 2 inches left. The hand drops. His fingers stiffen against the metal bolt handle. The glove seam shows against the rifle stock, cold. His breath forms thicker clouds against the scope edge. The rifle butt presses harder into his shoulder. Another group appears through the trees below. 6 soldiers. They move faster along the road surface. Romano looks down at the road bend, then at the bolt in his hand. He sets the rifle across his forearms. 2 seconds. He picks it up again. 2 soldiers drag a machine gun behind a fallen log. The barrel lifts toward the hillside above. The assistant feeds the belt into position. Romano shifts the scope toward the gunner. 850 yards. The rifle fires before the weapon settles fully. The gunner collapses across the weapon frame. The assistant grabs the grip and turns the barrel. Romano cycles the bolt without lifting his cheek. The second shot lands through the exposed chest. The weapon drops silent against the log, but somewhere north of the road, 4 dull thumps carry through the cold air. Mortars. Romano presses against the trunk behind his back. The rifle lowers across his forearms. 12 seconds. The first impact strikes short along the hillside below. Snow erupts upward along the slope. Fragments cut through branches around his position. The second impacts land closer to the tree line, 20 yards. The trunk shakes under the force of the blast. Bark tears away above his head into the air. His hands grip tight against the rough trunk surface. The rifle remains pinned between his arms. He keeps his body tight against the wood. The third salvo should follow. 5 seconds. 10. 15. No impact follows through the air. The forest holds still above the shattered branches. Romano does not move for 90 seconds. His ear stays pressed against the rough bark, listening for the next set of thumps from the north. Nothing follows. Burned marks scar the snow along the slope below. The road stretches toward the northern bend. Romano lifts the rifle slowly back to the branch. The scope clears against his eye. Tracks remain pressed into the snow surface. He does not move from the position. The scope glass fogs again at the edge. He does not wipe it. The parachute cord has loosened against the trunk. He pulls it tight with one hand without looking down. The platform shifts slightly beneath his right boot. He does not adjust his position. Darkness fades slowly into gray morning light. 64 hours. His feet remain fixed against the branch below him. The rifle rests heavier across his arms. Another group appears at the far edge of the road. 41 soldiers. 2 half-tracks follow behind the formation. Engines. The sound carries louder through the valley below. The vehicles move faster along the road surface. Romano shifts the scope toward the lead vehicle. The rifle fires toward the lead half-track windshield. 900 yards. The round strikes against the front plate. The vehicle continues forward toward the bodies ahead. Romano cycles the bolt and fires again. The second round hits near the vision port. The vehicle swerves toward the tree line. The third shot follows through the same opening. The half-track veers into a tree and stops. Soldiers spill from the rear doors into the snow. The crosshair shifts across moving figures below. The rifle fires again into the dismounting group. 4 fall before reaching cover. The second half-track continues along the road. The gunner stands exposed behind the shield. Romano steadies the scope ahead of the movement. The first shot passes beside the weapon mount. He cycles the bolt again against stiff fingers. The second shot lands against the gunner's chest. The weapon drops silent above the vehicle. The infantry spreads across the snow along the road. Bodies lie scattered beside the burned vehicle. Romano tracks movement between trees and ditch lines. The rifle fires again through the open lane. 28 remain. The formation pulls back toward the northern bend. Some drag others across the snow surface. Romano leads one runner along the edge of the road. The shot lands ahead of his stride. The body drops forward into the drift. His hands shake against the rifle stock, cold. The bolt moves slower between each shot now. The road clears below. 6 rounds remain in the bandolier. The rifle stays fixed above the branch. His breath comes shallow against the freezing air. 72 hours. Boots crunch faint below the tree.